Hi, welcome back to Gotta Be Me podcast. We're so happy to be here again with you today. We're your hosts. My name is Sophia, and this is my cousin, Peyton.
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. If you're new here, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are recording this video at the end of a very long day, but we are excited and grateful for the opportunity to be able to speak. The topic that we want to talk about today has to do with something that's really close to our heart because
we're very passionate about this.
You all know that we're both teachers and everything like that, and I think that we're going to talk about today would have concerning pertinence to everybody that would take a listen. So we want to talk about a phenomenon that is known, but I don't know how much people actually concretely know about it
or think about it,
and how much they
thinking about it.
Yeah, like this is something that needs to be thought about. And I think it's very serious and very kind of like an emergency to me. So this is like the school to prison pipeline. Now, there's been a lot of different docuseries done on it. There's been a lot of research done on it, but I still feel like not a lot of change has been made towards changing it. Like we still have the same public school system. So could you explain to people what is the school to prison pipeline? What's the research on it? What's that kind of surrounding?
So the school to prison pipeline is, it's specifically, it can include more than one thing, but it specifically talks about especially the way that children are ending up in the juvenile system. And I've seen a lot of research that says when you have like a lot of like police presence in schools, or there's different things that cause that children just, instead of getting help, they would say they just go into the correctional system. So there's that aspect of it. But there's also this other aspect of that I just learned about last school year. And it was actually wild to me. One of the teachers told it to me, and I was like, really? That's crazy. I did some research. Some of our friends did some research. We found out, according to research, that it's true, that state prisons will actually look at third grade reading tests and build prisons accordingly. And that was so wild and so angering to me.
It's mind-blowing. It's completely mind-blowing.
Because if you have the foresight to look and build a prison, these are little 8-year-olds. Stop building a prison and teach the babies!
Yeah.
Like, oh my, yeah, I just get mad. Ooh, I get mad. Like, ooh. And last year, too, we had a child like that. He was and it became that much more real because we were working with third graders that can't read, fourth graders that can't read, and it was like, okay, they're looking at these children as what? Not even little people.
Like
they're just
chess pieces.
Exactly. They're just a part of the prison system. They just get swallowed into it, and I was just like,
and it's like they already consider them predestined.
Yeah.
For
you will be a prisoner. That's your life calling.
And
you'll never read. You will go to jail instead. You will be a prisoner. That's your life story.
And I'm wondering, right? The prisons are doing this research, but who's on the flip side of this research to try and stop it? And I'm just interested in what interest in American society, why do we need that layer in American society? And it's whose fault is this? Is this the teacher's fault? Is it the student's fault? Is it America's fault? Who's to blame here? Because there's a lot of different things that could be going on, right?
Right. So I looked at the stats, right, which were wild to me. For example, I looked at Indiana because that's where we live. 37% of children are reading on grade level,
which is literally like a crime. In America, we have the right.
Way less than half of children can read according to their grade level.
Yeah.
That's what, these seem like statistics from way back when there was
middle age type stuff.
Yeah, only when education wasn't encouraged, or
females weren't supposed to read.
And I know, and I do want to mention, because I know it's true, COVID had a lot to do with that.
Yes.
And I won't even go into all the things of COVID and the problems that came out of that, and kind of just to me how sus that whole thing kind of was. That's a whole nother conversation. But I do know that a lot of children, because they had to stay home for a year, 2 years, lost a lot of ground. But it's crazy that we've come to that 73% of our children aren't reading on grade level. 21% of adults in the U.S. are not functionally literate. A fifth. 1 in every 5 adults that you read are not functionally literate. They cannot read well enough to help them function in their life.
That is ungood.
And then the crossover gets crazy when you start looking at prisons, right? Because even though African American people are 13% of the population, they're like 37% or more of the prison population. So more than or about 3 times double, right? So there's already a lot more African American and brown people in prison proportionately, right? And then when you look at the reading statistics, it's the same way. Like,
right. It's actually really weird to see, and it really is really mind-boggling. Like, to me, like, I took 5 classes this summer. Sadly.
And also
Sadly
had a
enough.
job that was intense.
Sadly. But
Thank the Lord it's done.
it's all done. And just reading the statistics, it was like every chapter, black and brown children, black and brown children, black and brown children. And I was just like, okay, this is actually absurdly repetitive. And it was just like, okay, like, why do people not think like,
and how is it that we have this much research about it, this much writing about it, but this few solutions that are working? Because I do think there's people out there trying, and I'm not dissing them.
Yeah.
But how come it's not getting, how come double the amount of black and brown children, like we have double the illiteracy rates in black and brown communities as compared to the quote unquote white ones? Why?
I think some of it, like, okay, there's obviously, obviously it's a systemic problem, and I think we obviously have to
nobody can
that.
deny that. Either you say that, black and brown children are innately less smart, inherently less smart, if you, and which is absolutely crazy. Like, who's going to say that, right?
But then if you are not willing to say that, then you have to be willing to say the other.
You have to admit systemic problems.
They really do exist, and I don't know why people struggle so much to admit that, because they operate by systems every single day. Their body, they have an immune system, they have a skeletal system. I lied. Is there a skeletal system?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
muscle system. Right.
Yeah.
You have
and not just that,
systems.
it's easy to see educational systems and medical systems and all kinds of systems. And why would it be hard to imagine that there's a whole overruling system, that...
Right, and I think new research right now is saying that we have a tracking problem, like that we're when you put children on tracks and trajectories and on their own path, and that they're actually purposely tracking a group of children, because you need a blue collar you need somebody to be in prison. Like, America actually needs slavery to function, right?
And so that's like after 13th, they said nobody can be a slave except you're a prisoner.
Yeah.
And the free labor from, especially private prisons is just...
I actually don't know if I should talk about this, but like, maybe, I don't know if you saw this on the news, and I don't really believe in like the political system at all. Like, I would never disrespect President Trump. I think he's good at what he does. He's a powerful man. Obviously, the news, they could say whatever, but I was watching him speak about, ICE and everything is going crazy, right? We talk about all these different things. But they went to some of the farms down in Florida, and they realized, like, hey, yo, we don't have any workers without these illegal immigrants. And then they actually like signed some paperwork. Did you read about this?
No.
Okay, it was really insane. Our entire family actually flipped out. They signed some paperwork where President Trump said that the farmers can sign something that makes them responsible for the immigrants.
I did see this.
Yeah, and the immigrants,
they're immigrants, basically.
But the immigrants still have to pay taxes. And I was like,
that
really is taxation without representation, which is something that America has like really stood on
against from the beginning.
Like, we dump tea in the ocean for
or
this.
Whatever.
Yeah, Boston Harbor. And it's just like, that's just really incredible that we're just gonna stand up and say that. And I don't know. I could be taking it out of context. There could be a million things that could have gone into it. And I want to be careful when saying things, because there's a lot of different people, and of course people can be offended by different things. But personally, how I felt about it was just, I felt very strongly about it and really upset about it. And just, I don't even know how I got from where we were to there.
I know what you're talking about. And honestly, like, that's a huge part of this conversation, the incarceration system.
Yeah.
And how we need the injustices, that's what I'm saying,
of it. How America, like, they need slavery to survive. They're like, oh, whoop-de-doo, kick everybody out. Oh, wait, yo, we need somebody to do this. We need
almost free labor.
And, like, the thing that's funny is that people were like, yeah, we're talking about all these immigrants are taking our jobs. you didn't want to do this.
You didn't apply for that job.
You didn't apply for that job. And now you mad because you got to pay somebody. And it's just like, okay, either we're going to fess up or we're just going to continue to lie.
But don't act like there's not a system here, because otherwise
America is built on a hierarchy where they need layers and they need slaves. And I think the school system actually plays into that. And I don't know, would you have like an idea? The Bible says Babylon is going to fall.
Right.
And I think...
And when we talk about Babylon, we're talking about, and we could get into all that, but we're talking about a beast, we're talking about a system, we're talking about an entity.
Go watch the church's Revelation podcast
to get better understanding about all that.
Plug.
But we're talking about an entity. We use the word beast, we use the word system, we use the word, sometimes we say kings of the earth, sometimes we say...
and this is just all different words. This is all different verbiage for things that I think you all probably know about, like,
and maybe have your own vocabulary
the pyramid and the people on the top and the people that's running the whole game, and
but there is something. We can't act like there's not. And
it's not even to say it's like black people against white people. I just think that America has been set up in such a fashion that this is the way it operates best. And like, once you have systemic just means you're going to continue doing the same thing. And we've talked about it before, like, this benefits white people no more.
Yeah.
It's just as harmful.
It's just the way they set up the hustle to make white people feel like they were getting the advantage. And really, both sides are being oppressed,
harmed
right?
As well.
And you said Babylon's going to fall. And I want to come back to that. I want to finish with this stat. So all these stats are leading together. There's more illiteracy there. There's more in the prison. And the biggest stat to me that's sticking out to me the most right now because of this study is the fact that 80% of children in the juvenile system, because we talked about that. We talked about how they instead of, staying in school, they get put into the juvenile system. Instead of getting help, instead of getting counseling, which there's so many people trying so hard. I'm not dissing them. I'm talking about the fact that there's a system that doesn't allow people to do well as long as they're operating inside of it.
Yes.
80% of children in the juvenile detention system are functionally illiterate. 80% is wild. By far, most of them. You're literally telling me right now, if a child can't read, he's going to end up in jail most likely. It makes me frantic. It makes me grab all the babies and read to them all the day. Makes me want to,
Yeah.
And like, I started thinking about the implications of not being able to read. I wrote down 3 things, and I'm not saying they're like the 3 best things, but these are the things that came to my mind. If you can't read, it's very hard for you to respect yourself. You can't. Brother Steph one time said, if you can't read, you can't think. If you can't think, you can't speak. If you can't speak, you can't learn history. And the older I get and the more I learn about reading, the more true I realize that is. Like, reading helps you gives you vocabulary. So if you can't read, you fail to understand yourself. You fail to
articulate.
You fail to be able to articulate yourself, even in your own mind. You can't think the thoughts to understand what's going on. And then you can't have respect for yourself. And then all the implications of not being able to respect yourself, right? Another thing I wrote down was you can't read a room. You can't read situations. You can't read people. You can't read facial expressions. Like, reading is more than just calling letters. You got to teach a child how to survive in life. You got to be able to, and like, when they can't read in all the ways that reading means, they're stripped of basic skills to survive in life.
If you think about it, right, a lot of these children are literally, it's probably most likely, I'm not an expert, but I'm just thinking from seeing children, it's like an emotional regulation problem. You did not have the tool set to think through your emotions and think through repercussions. What if I do this, what happens afterwards? And you didn't have the ability to emotionally regulate and do those sorts of things. I feel like we sound kind of new agey, but
it's so true. And I'm telling you, if you had been able to read, so much of that could have been solved.
Yes.
The last one I thought of, it's very basic and obvious, but they wouldn't be able to get a decent job. And so they end up in low-income housing with low-income jobs and sending their children to low-income schools that just cannot pay the teachers enough to be educated enough, can't get enough teachers, don't have the resources. And here we are, just in this vicious cycle.
Secular. And its purpose.
It's secular. is that a word?
Yeah, secular.
Okay. And it's systemic. Like, you can't, there's no escaping it. It's not those children's fault that they couldn't learn. And then, you know, we could blame their parents. Well, their parents didn't read to them. Okay, but maybe their parents worked, you know, all day to make ends meet and were exhausted by night. We could blame their teachers, but maybe their teachers did their best, but didn't have the funding to buy. Like, there's maybe the child was suffering a mental, you know, disability or disorder or whatever. Like, you can blame people, but really, and we saw this because we were in the school system. So many good people out there trying so hard to do their best.
Doing so much research, good tools, good. But it's just like...
And wanting to make a change so much.
And making changes.
But the stats are actually worse than ever. I think they were like 51% were on grade level, like maybe 5 years ago, and now it's 37. Like, we have more technology than ever. We have more education than ever. We have more, and yet our reading scores are getting lower. And I can't help thinking it's systemic. And now I want to come back to what you said about Babylon falling, because we believe, and this is the encouraging part. Otherwise, this would drive me crazy because there's so many children, and how can we help them all? Like, it just feels like impossible. But we believe, according to the prophecy, and maybe this sounds abstract, but I believe it with all my heart. It's actually the only thing that keeps me going. This is what helped. This is what lets me wake up in the morning. This is what keeps me going throughout the day. This is what I think about going to sleep at night, and I do it all over again. And without this, we were just talking about this today. Without prophecy, I do not even have a life. I don't like. I have built my life around the prophecy. That's how much I believe it. And we believe the prophecy says that, first of all, that we're living in the end of times, and second of all, that in the end of times, Babylon will fall. The system will be exposed for what it is. People will begin to see it, will begin to understand what's being done to them, will begin to hate it, the scripture says, and then it will fall. It's the beloved city will be surrounded, but fire will fall. Like, there's so much different language in the scriptures. And that is the thing that encourages me, that we are going to actually be able to make a difference. Otherwise, because it's tempting to look back at all the people that have done their best and be like, so many good people have tried. How is there what more can be done? But I believe that we're finally getting to the time, and I believe we're in a good place to do it. Sometimes it's intimidating because so many people, to think I can make a change, we can make a change, because there's so many people more educated than us, or, you know, more resources than us that have been working on this, and, you know, we haven't seen necessarily as much. We haven't seen the national progress that we want to see, or the global progress that we want to see, or even just the progress in our own communities that we want to see. But I believe that we're in such a good place. I believe, Brother Steph, and the craziest thing happened this winter, and we told you all about it a little bit, but Brother Steph, in 1 hour, got inspiration for a whole education philosophy, and he wrote a book about it. Another shameless plug. I don't know if you can even see, the background might be blurry, but we have that book up instead of the Hustlin' Backwards book that we normally have, and it's called Election, and we did a video about it. Go back and watch it if you were curious about election. But the ALEC stands for acknowledgement, love, engagement, and cultivation, and it's a program that helps every child to be seen.
We want to talk about a No Child Left Behind theory.
This is
okay.
That.
Yeah.
This is that.
Yes.
And it's not about pushing children through grades so that you end up with, like, we have the Tylers in 4th grade that can't read. It's not about that. It's about making sure each child is seen, and basically, not only is the child is seen and the child is able, you as the teacher help the child build their own story. You support them in the writing of their own story. And to me, it is such a powerful philosophy. I believe it actually can make the difference. And I know it's a bold thing to say, because I think a lot of people have philosophies and ideas and books they've written and curriculums, and they think, you know, theirs is the right way and it can't make the change. And why I feel so bold about election is because I feel like it includes all of that. All of it can be housed inside of election.
Anything can be held inside.
Exactly, yes. Because each child is different, and they might need this child. We're going to pull from that curriculum. We're going to try this method with that child. Oh, we love what you said over there about that. We're going to pull that in for this child, because inside of election, we see that child, we see what it needs, and we make sure to provide that.
And I think another thing we do is we make sure, a lot of times education, I feel like the educational world can be isolated.
Yes.
Like, we're educators, we do this over here. When really it's like, we're educators, we should be talking to them, we should be talking to the other, we should be bringing this in, and it should be like a complete community effort. And I feel like systemically, in American system, we try to divide things and separate things.
That's part of the
it's not the
modus operandi of the system.
It's the question of or, not the question of and. It's just like, what can we do to create a complete educational experience so we can eliminate this part, right? We don't want our babies going to prison. Imagine if your child, somebody already built a prison bed for your child.
Like,
right?
imagine if your child was just a statistic.
How mad does that make you that somebody's looking at your child's tests and making a prison bed for them? Like, that's insane. And I'm not trying to insult anyone's child. I'm just saying, like, imagine, like, this is somebody. Somebody's already making a bed for my babies.
Somebody's babies.
You know what I mean? It's just like...
And as a community, that should make us angry, because we should
say,
realize those are our babies.
You cannot have our babies.
And you're not going to do that to my children. I didn't birth that child, but as a community, those are our children. And you're not going to do that to us.
People at work always get confused. I'm like, oh, this is my baby, this is my baby, that. And they're like, okay, you got kids? I'm like, no, kids.
No, but they are mine.
Babies. They're
I
just
taught
my
them.
Babies.
I love them. And I want to see them succeed in life. I want to be clear. That is the only way the election method works. You can't, it's impossible for a lone teacher, as much as they want to do their best and be the best teacher they can, to implement it by themselves, because election takes a community. There's no way a child can be acknowledged, loved, engaged with, and cultivated, just from the interaction with one person. You need a whole community effort. You need moms, you need dads, you need the mayor, you need the fireman, you need the policeman, you need the baker, you need the street sweeper, you need the librarian. Every gifting, all the ones I didn't name, the ones you won't maybe just naturally think of. Everybody in the community is needed to help education function properly.
And I feel like it sounds simple, but it's so true. And
it's just been baked into us to not think that way. To think that education is just the responsibility of the teachers. Send our children there, the teachers teach them, and then hopefully they learn.
Get them later.
And the poor teachers, they don't make enough for the job that's being put on them, and they do their best. They're spending their own money. They're staying late. They're getting there early. I saw these beautiful people. And still, you have only 30% on their level that they should be. And I know it's not because the teachers aren't working hard enough, because they're working as hard as they can. And that tells me it's something else. It's not the teachers. We have to have a community effort to make election work and to save our babies. We have a new hashtag. It's called Find the Tylers. Hashtag Find the Tylers. Because we want to find those children that we want. We want empty prison beds. We want them to, they might have looked at their third grade reading scores. They might have already built that bed, but guess what? We're going to snatch them up. That's our goal. That's our desire. That's our plan. We're going to grab them right out of there, and they're not going to know what happened. They're going to have a whole row of empty bunk beds. Like, what happened? Election grabbed them and saw them. So, I hope you lose money on your stupid prisons. Teach children to read. Anyway, yeah. Okay, we might have got a little stirred up about that, but it's very important to us, pretty much.
It's very important. And do your research, do due diligence. Do due diligence about this. I'm gonna be like,
do diligence.
But do your due diligence about it. I don't care if you don't have children yet. I don't care if
you're connected
children
somehow
around you. There's children
you got
looking
nieces,
at you.
You got nephews. You used to be a child. You somebody's child.
Do your due diligence. This is important. It's not just important to teachers. It's important to everyone. And this affects your life, because guess what? When these children grow up, this is the community.
They're our future.
They're the future. They're what we're creating.
So actually, every single one, anybody that sees this video and everybody else that doesn't see it, you have a responsibility to children, to the school, to education. Everybody does.
Everybody has a responsibility to the school. I do not care who you are. I hate it when I see people that are like, they're
not a teacher.
Young and they don't have kids, and they're like, oh, I don't care. I'm like, this is you. This is you in here. And guess what? When those children come out, they're a reflection of you and your community. And the effort that you put in is what our children look like. Absolutely. And I think everybody should feel responsible for the school. They really should.
You got something to give. No matter what your calling is, you have something to give to the school.
And if you don't know how, ask somebody. do what you know how to do and ask somebody, how can I help? And
I promise you, teachers are dying to tell you how you can help.
dying.
They always need it. So anyway, if it's not clear, we hate the system. We hate what it's doing. We call prophecy to witness that it will be destroyed. And we praise God because we believe we're a part of what's going to bring it down. A little part. We believe there's a lot of people we've never met yet, people we don't know, people all over the world. And I can't wait to meet them. I can't wait to come together with them. But we believe that we're a part of it. And we like solidly believe we're going to bring it down. And maybe that sounds crazy because it's a big thing. But
it does.
I believe with all my heart. And I'm passionate about it. Pray for us. We are starting a school here in Muncie and an RBE school. And we're also going to be doing community tutoring. And we have a passion about it. We're very burdened about it. So when you think about it, please pray for us. Lift us up. We're going to drop a link in our bio for our Amazon wish list. We're trying to furnish our classrooms and get all that together. So if you can support, if it's in your heart to support, please do. If not, please just offer prayer for us. In our efforts to bring it down, we're doing what we can a little bit every day. Y'all know what time it is. Peace, love, and hair grease.